Hello and welcome into another episode of Sports with Steve. This is show number 5 according to our mathematician Scott Anderson. The cameraman Scott Anderson. Say hi, Scott.
Hello.
And that's Scott Anderson. I'm Steve. If you couldn't figure that out, Sports with Steve, me, hi. So we got a pretty cool show for you today. Of course, I think every show I'm in is cool, but that's because I'm fabulous. We got a couple basketball players from the SVSU men's team with us today, Kellen Smith and Lindsey Johnson. We'll get to those guys in a little bit, but first of all, this is Sunday after Championship Saturday. A lot of big things. The BCS Championship, now it's not all set in stone. The BCS will declare who was in what bowl game tonight at 9 on ESPN, but we're all pretty sure of what's going to happen. So a couple of big games. Florida State beat Duke 45-7, and it really wasn't that close. Florida State ACC Championships 12-0 going to the BCS Championship game projected, we're all pretty sure. Michigan State beat Ohio State for the Big Ten Championship 34-24 in a really good game. Michigan State's defense, even though they gave up 24 points, they gave up a lot of rushing yards to Hyde and to Braxton Miller. They played well when it counted. So they are the Big Ten champions. They were going to the Rose Bowl to take on Stanford. Pretty sure they were going to the Rose Bowl anyway, whether they won or lost. But the good news is, for everybody outside of Ohio, Ohio State lost. I'm not sure where they're going to end up. I'm not BCS savvy enough to know where they're going to end up, but they are not going to the BCS championship game. Auburn beat Mizzou in a defensive battle, 59-42. That was a bit of sarcasm there. 59-42, they're the SEC champions, and with an 11-1 record, they're going to the BCS championship game, projected to take on Florida State. That's all I know. All the other BCS games, I'm not sure who's going to the Fiesta Bowl. If NIU would have won Northern Illinois, they got beat 47-27 on Friday night against Bowling Green. If they would have beat Bowling Green, they would have most likely gone to the Fiesta Bowl, but it is not the case. So that's as much BCS as I know. I'm not a BCS expert. I don't claim to be. I don't know anybody who's a BCS expert. I'm really glad that they're going to a 4-team playoff next year. I think they need to go to an 8-team playoff. I just think a playoff system is better here in Division II, which is Saginaw Valley is in Division II. We have a playoff system, same with the FCS. Grand Valley, SVSU's rivals, they won. They will continue off there in the quote-unquote Final Four of Division II playoff football, and I cannot remember who they're taking on. So there's that. In college basketball, a lot of games, 16 games were played yesterday, but there were 2 games that I cared most about, and if you're in Iowa, that you care about. Iowa, number 23 ranked Iowa beat Drake 83-66, and number 17 ranked ISU beat University of Northern Iowa in overtime 91-82. So there's NCAA. Division I basketball that I care about, that I think you guys would care about as well. And for SVSU, they had 2 games last night. They played against Tiffin. The women won 83-64 with almost as many fouls as points. There were a lot of fouls in that game. I don't think anybody fouled out. I'm pretty sure nobody did. But there were a lot of girls in women in foul trouble. Caleb Womack had 22 points. Caitlin Carrier had 21 points. The SVSU men came into the game 4-1. Tiffin came into the game 4-1. But SVSU lost 65-52 in a game that was a lot closer than that. SVSU was never leading. They were within 3 or 4 points, but there was a big play. It was a loose ball. It was a scramble for the ball, and there was a called out. Man, I almost made it through the segment, Scott, without messing up. Okay. And I know Kellen and Lindsey are going to make fun of me for that. There was a big play. But Tiffin called a timeout, but not really sure if they had possession. We'll ask the guys about that here in a second if that was truly the case. I was not at the game as I was working for ESPN. Nothing like name dropping. But I'm not getting any reaction from you guys. You guys got to start laughing more. Yeah, okay. Good job. So some stats for SVSU that I think are significant. They averaged 78 points per game overall, but only 60.5 in conference. They've had 2 conference games against Ohio Dominican and against Tiffin. For SVSU, they were worse. The 3-point percentage is worse. They have less assists and more fouls. Their opponents are better 3-point. I think it's like 7% better. They're 27 or so percent overall, and then against SVSU, they're at 34%. Kellen Smith, point guard, 46.7% field goal percentage, 7 for 9 free throws, and 1 free throws. Man, just once I'd like to get through the show without bumbling it all up. 7 for 9 free throws, and 1 for 1 from the three-point line. He has 16 turnovers. His assist-to-turnover ratio was 1.8 with 11 steals and 29 assists. Lindsey Johnson, who is also a guard, 37.8% field goal percentage, 37.5 from behind the arc, 5 for 6 free throw. 3 turnovers. His turnover to assist ratio is 3.3. He has 6 steals and 10 assists. So, yesterday against Tiffin, and after these guys, well, we joined Kellen Smith. That's Kellen. Hi, Kellen.
Alright.
Good work. Lindsey Johnson.
How you doing?
Okay. So yesterday against Tiffin, Kellen had 6 points, 1 for 2 field goal, 1 for 1 3-point. So 1 3-pointer of the season was last night. 3 for 4 free throw. So he only took 2 shots. We had 6 points. Lindsey, unfortunately, had 0 points, 0 for 4 field goal, 0 for 3 from behind the 3-point line. But a lot of those were rimming out. Just could not get him to fall. It seems like your team in conference has been struggling getting buckets to drop. Is that a point of focus lately, or is that just something that you guys can't really fix? It's just kind of a game-by-game situation.
Well, we've been focusing a lot on defense in practice, not as much offensively, and so that's kind of been a bit of a struggle for us, just getting shots to fall. But I mean, we see each other make a lot of shots every day in practice. We know that there are probably 8 to 10 guys on our team that can consistently shoot the ball very well. Myself being one of them. Obviously, the percentages don't show that right now, but by the end of get a couple games under our belt, I'm sure it'll start to show.
Right, and I didn't say this beforehand, but I do not completely. I like to look at percentages, but I don't believe that percentages and statistics tell the whole story. Because you guys, you're almost 50% from the floor. You're 37%, 38%, which is really good. So it's, an 0 for a day is not indicative of your season. How would you rate your team's performance this season, overall performance, defensively? Obviously, you said that you guys have been focusing on that a lot. How would you guys rate your performance so far this season?
It's been good, but it could be better. We give up too many points probably for the way we shoot right now, so I feel like if we cut down on mistakes on the defensive end, it'll help us and help us win more games.
What do you think, Lindsey?
Yeah, I agree with that. Obviously, if you allow more points than you're scoring, you're not going to win. So if we can't get the ball to go down, then we've got to play better defense. Like Kellen said, we either got to pick up one or the other, our scoring or our defense, or hopefully down the road we'll be able to do both.
We'll start with Lindsey. How would you rate your individual performance on? I'm not looking for you guys to say that you guys are perfect. I'm not looking for you guys to say that you are worthless. Just from an objective viewpoint. How would you, obviously you can get better, everybody can get better, but how would you rate your individual performance so far?
I would say from the standpoint of why Coach brought me here, kind of to be a role model, a leader for some of the younger guys. I think I'm doing all right. In terms of, just being a basketball player, I don't think I'm doing that great. I need to get in the gym more, I need to take it upon myself to improve more. So from that perspective, I need to get better, but I think if you were to ask Coach that same question, I think he'd say Lindsey's doing a pretty good job, but my personal evaluation is I need to get better.
What about you, Kellen?
I'm kind of with Lindsey. I feel like I should get in the gym more too. Never be in the gym too much, and cutting down on turnovers and getting more assists is my job, so that's what I'm always going to say.
So I think that I shouldn't be in the gym so much. I'm getting too big, getting too buff. Okay, I hope the camera adds 10 pounds, because that would put me about 164. And that's where 10 pounds would add me to. Who eats the most on the team? Now that we're done with all the serious questions.
It's probably Damon.
Damon Bozeman?
Damon.
Alright.
Or Devin.
Devin, yeah, I was thinking Devin.
Alright. Lindsey, there is a bucket of clothing in the living room. You told me about this earlier this week. Can you tell me, without naming any names, can you tell me the story behind this bucket of clothing?
I can name names if you want.
I just don't want you to embarrass them.
We're not worried about that.
They might be.
This isn't hazing, by the way.
No hazing.
No hazing.
This is support.
Well, we have a freshman on our team who's a bit of a pack rat, keeps everything in his locker. Usually freshmen have one locker, the sophomores, juniors, seniors, upperclassmen, whatever, get 2 lockers. This particular freshman, for some reason, has 2 lockers, both of which are filled to the very top with clothes. So we get punished for having a messy locker room, and the messy locker room is usually attributed to him. So we just had an empty trash can, so we took out the trash one day.
Now you also said that you threatened him that you would throw away his clothing. But obviously then, I think a bigger punishment would be as if we were to videotape us throwing away his clothing.
That would work. I also threatened him that every day he didn't come by and get it, I was going to donate 1 item to Goodwill. So I think I'll start that soon.
I hope maybe you should probably watch them first.
Yeah, those are kind of stinky.
It's sitting in a couple lockers for.
I'm not paying for the laundry.
I'm not paying for it. That's not happening. Okay, we'll just put it outside in the rain or the snow. We'll just set it outside.
That'll work.
All right. Besides Scott and each other, who is your favorite roommate?
Let's say Scott.
So even though I said besides Scott and each other, you're still going with Scott. Man, no love.
Probably Steph.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm sure she'd love to see that on camera. Are you jealous of my beard?
Yes.
Yes? Good answer. What about you, Lindsay? I see you kind of growing out a little bit there.
No response.
All right, back to basketball. Is there any member of the women's basketball team that you are afraid of? Not necessarily because, you think that she's going to kick the crap out of you with Lindsay. We probably could, but is there any girls basketball team member that you're afraid of?
FBO.
You?
Yeah.
Can you name them? Kayla Womack?
We're naming names.
We can't hear, because this will boost their rep. Make other teams fear them.
Street cred.
Yeah.
I'd say Emily. Beth.
Brianna.
Graham. Yeah, that's it.
That's fair. That's fair. Now, if you could take on any member of the women's basketball team, and not necessarily, once again, because you think you would beat them, who would it be? Who would you want to take on in a one-on-one game? Lindsay?
Sam.
Sam? Sears out? Kellen?
Kayla.
Kayla Womack?
Yeah.
Alright, and she had a pretty good game yesterday. 22 points. She's a big part of that game. Kellen, as you are from Kentucky. Can you tell us about living there? We're obviously in Michigan. This is the intercontinental dorm. We're in Michigan. SVSU is a state college, but it's not University of Michigan. It's not MSU. It's not Western. So I'd say 99% of the people here, maybe 98, with international students are from Michigan. But 3 out of the 4 of us are not, which is kind of weird.
It is.
So can you tell us about living in Kentucky?
I love it. And I
Yeah.
miss it.
Yeah.
It's too cold up here. Kentucky's a lot warmer. Actually, but it is snowing a lot in Kentucky right now. More than it is here.
Yeah, we've only had 1 day of snow. I would consider 1 day of snow.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple sprinklings here and there, but there's no snow out there right now. And poor Dallas, and poor Houston. I don't feel that bad for them, but for the people, I don't necessarily want them to get stuck in a snowstorm. Okay, Lindsay, my roommate, my friend.
Yes.
You grew up in North Carolina.
Yes.
And then you went to community college in Wyoming. Why?
Get away from home. I had a couple schools out west recruiting me that told me, get a year or 2 development under your belt, and then they'll take me. Both of those got new coaching staff, and the new coaching staff didn't recruit me, so that kind of threw a wrench in my plan. But I'm glad I'm here. So, but I mean, yeah, the goal was I had a couple Division I's out there, a D2 out there, all of which who were interested in having me after a year, and then they all got new coaching staff, so ended up spending the second year there, and now I'm here.
That's fair. I guess it's kind of weird for me to ask a question as to why somebody left their home state to go to college. That's not Division I, but I did the same thing. And I'm not even an athlete, so.
Yeah, because you left for bowl. You came here because they had a good bowling program, and that's the last thing you've done.
Yeah, the SVSU has a fantastic bowling program. For those of you who don't know, top 5 the last 10 years, 10 or so years. Coach Dorian has done a wonderful job. The year I came here, in 2011, the previous year, the 2010-2011 season, they lost the championship by 1 pin. And I wanted to be a part of that. Bowling is my passion, and next semester, next year, we're going to have an interview segment with all of us. Mike, my producer back in Iowa, Scott, who's here, and myself, so that way you guys can get to know us a little better, because this is not, in case Kellen and Lindsey can figure that out, this is not a quote-unquote professional sports show. I do know what I'm talking about. We all do know what we're talking about, but we like to keep things loose. We like to talk about my beard. I don't even know what tangent I just went on. Started talking about bowling, ended up talking about myself. Man, I must be a sports personality. All right, so what are you guys' individual and team goals for the rest of the season? We'll end on this. What are your guys' goals to finish out? Not necessarily, obviously we want to make it to the playoffs. We want to have a great record in the GLIAC. What are some other goals that we might not know about on the face that you guys have for this? And we'll start with you, Kellen.
Well, I just say we just want to get better. We just want to keep improving every day, every practice, every game, win or lose. We just want to get better. And if we keep getting better, then good thing will happen.
Okay. Lindsey, how about you?
Yeah, I think that can be applied both individually and as a team. If I can get better every day, if Kellen can get better every day, then our team's going to get better every day. It's difficult to bring intensity over a long period of time. We'll have a great practice one day and then kind of an average practice another day. So just kind of, like Kellen said, getting better every day, bringing that same intensity every day. And if that happens, then I think the ceiling's pretty high for our team. I think we can be really good, but it starts with practice and individually.
I assume Coach Baruth has said this to you guys, but he said it in a post-game interview from last night. He said that, this is not an exact quote, whether we win or lose, that's not what it's about. It's about getting better every day. I think that's really important. You guys are getting better. I've paid attention to you guys the last 2 years. You guys are getting better. You're more consistent. It feels like you guys have a lot of optimism and a lot of potential, even though your record may not show that. You guys are 4-2 right now, 4-0 out of conference, 0-2 in conference. But you guys are getting better. These games, Ohio, Dominican, and between Tiffin, these games are closer than what the scores show. I'm sure you guys can tell more about that in the game than I can on the outset. So you guys are getting better. I'm really optimistic about that. That's Kellen Smith and Lindsey Johnson from the Saginaw Valley State University men's basketball team. That'll conclude today's show. A very short and fun show. Hope you guys enjoyed being on here. If you want to ask me questions, our next show will be next semester. It'll start in 2014, and look out because we're going to have a lot of changes to our show. No, I'm not going to get in cute here. You're stuck with that. Sorry about that, but we are going to have some changes. We're just going to be overall better, more consistent. I don't want to spoil everything to our viewer. See what I did there, Scott? I put a little sarcasm in our show. Something new. Put some sarcasm in our show.
Oh no!
I know, it's amazing. So if you want to ask me questions, I would love to answer your questions. That's what the show is about. It's about you, the viewer, you, the fan. I now have a Facebook page, Sports with Steve, whatever the /Facebook. I think it's different because I had to redo it because it was being weird. So maybe Sports About Steve, something like that. Just look on Facebook, Sports with Steve. Twitter, @SVSU Iowa, and then my Gmail account, svsuiowa@gmail.com for any questions, comments, concerns, confusion, quandary, whatever you have for me. If you want to yell at me, that's fine. You weren't the only one. So that concludes today's show. We will see you guys next semester. Thank you very much for joining us, and go Hawks!